Enid Plainsmen Football 2015.
Hey, we're all putting gas on today.
Plainsmen Football, getting it done. Plainsmen Football, where preparation is repetition.
Ready to go.
Enid Plainsmen Football, we don't get tired. Plainsmen Football, effort, technique, and how we treat one another.
Those are the things we're going to be great at. When people look at videos, they're going to see those three things.
Now, from the Enid Television Network studios, here's head coach Steve Hayes with Steve Kahn.
Welcome to Plainsmen Football 2015. I'm Steve Kahn with the coach Steve Hayes. Thank you for joining us again this week. And, the season keeps on rolling. What are we, 7, 8 games already into the season?
It's week 9.
Week 9.
Week 9.
We blink and there's another game.
Oh.
We blink, there's another trip to Lawton. Well, first off, Coach,
That's right.
Congratulations on the big win.
Thank you. Happy Dance Day.
Yeah,
Yes.
Happy Dance. And by the way, he sent video of the Happy Dance to me, so I have proof that there was a Happy Dance victory dance over Lawton Ike last Friday. Score was 44-41. Kind of sounds like it was a slugfest or a track meet, if they call it. But again, Plainsmen pulled out an impressive win last week. Coach, I just want to share my observations real quick at the first half, but we want to get to the exciting second half and let you talk about that. In the first half, a good thing again, the Plainsmen score first. Through the year, you were scoring maybe third or fourth or fifth in line. Everybody else was scoring, and then finally you would score. But once again, you guys score first. And I believe it's the third possession of the game that you score. And then Lawton comes back and scores. And the young man that was here a few weeks ago, Devin Pratt, big game, 200-plus yards, I guess, because I just kept saying he's running right, he's running left, he's running up the middle, and then they're throwing the ball.
His final official stats were 276 yards on 36 carries.
Wow.
Yeah, averaged almost 8 yards a carry.
Mercy.
Yeah.
Impressive. And then just before halftime, and I just kept saying, hurry, hurry, hurry. And I think there was 8 seconds on the clock, and the field goal is good. Plainsmen kick a field goal. So you go into halftime at 9-6, and you're thinking, boy, this is going to be just kind of a low-scoring affair, just defense, and you get down to score and you don't. Lawton goes down to score, they don't, just back and forth. Then all of a sudden, the second half took place.
A lot of crazy things happened in the second half.
So tell us about that, Coach.
I thought the kids did a great job coming out of halftime. We take the opening kickoff down. Actually, we stop them. They get the opening kickoff. We hold them 3 and out, and we get the ball and immediately go down and score, make it 16-6, have a 10-point lead. We felt like we'd practiced an onside kick this week, kind of in the game, and their front line was bailing out early, and so we felt like we could successfully execute it, and perfect. The kick, Kedrick's kick, was perfect. It wasn't even close. I mean, we covered it, and they didn't have any within 5 yards of it, and have the ball right there on about their 47-yard line. And I'm thinking, wow, we're really getting ready to open this thing up, and they wouldn't go away. Their corner makes a great play and ends up returning an interception for a touchdown, and then we can't do anything on our next possession, and then they go down and score again, and all of a sudden we're behind by 4. And then to credit our kids, we come right back and we scored 2 quick cut touchdowns to go back ahead by 10 again, and then give up the kickoff return for a touchdown, and then get the ball back and end up giving them the ball back on a turnover, and they score again, and we're behind by 4 again. It's still in the second half, and Darian Goins does a good job of throwing a great pass to Brian Banks for a touchdown, and then Devin Pratt runs about a 40-yard zone play for a touchdown. Great blocking downfield by Chase Livesey and Brian Banks again, and we go back ahead by 10, 44-34, and thinking we're in really good shape again. And they have a nice drive. They convert a long 4th down, end up scoring to get within 3 with about 3 minutes left to go in the game. And we can't convert a first down. We're in that deal where we want to run the ball and not stop the clock.
Right.
And they have everybody and their brother up at the line of scrimmage trying to stop the run, and they do a good job of that. And so we have to punt with about 1:10 left, and then the defense holds. Squire gets an interception, and we get to practice a victory snap, which was a lot of fun to be able to do for the first time this year. It was a great, if you're a fan, a really great half of football to watch. if you're a Plainsman football player, the outcome was really good. But as a coach, I think I aged about 2 decades in those 2 quarters.
You go from a 9-6 halftime lead to a 44-41 victory, and you're thinking, "Whoa, what was in the water for the second half?"
70 points scored in the second half between the 2 teams. It was a very exciting half of football. I thought it was, and going into it, you'd really like to win big. And we don't make a couple mistakes. It potentially isn't as close as it is. But I think for our kids to be able to face a similar situation that they faced the week before, and to respond twice,
right,
I think was really what we needed. We kind of called this a character bowl, and I was so proud of the way our kids fought back and never gave up, and just decided they were going to do what it takes to win. Because a week before we didn't do that and lost a game we probably should have won. This week we did do that and ended up getting a victory, and it was a pretty sweet victory.
Where the previous week you were very successful or had numerous conversions on 3rd and 4th down 2 weeks ago, and then that just seemed to kind of set the set the stage for last Friday's game. Is that okay? Hey, we can convert on 3rd down. We can convert on 4th down if we have to. And so, as throughout our shows, or 7 or 8 shows that we've done together, we've seen the growth of this team. We've seen how they've built upon success here, success here. One of the challenges was putting all those successes together, and it seemed like on Friday night you were seeing some of that take place.
Yes.
Consistency of coverage, consistency of running the ball. Whoops, we need to throw it, we throw it. And so you're able to obtain some of that consistency. So I know as a coaching staff, you got to be pleased at that progress.
I really was. I think, offensively, we were able to be very balanced. We rushed for 270 yards. We also threw for 260, 270 yards, and so our yards was very balanced, and the play selection was very balanced, and they were doing things that forced us to throw, and I thought there were several times we did a very good job of that. And then defensively, just several critical stops. The stop right before half that allowed us to go up 9-6, they got the ball on our 27-yard line because of a really short punt. And our defense rises up to the occasion and stops them, allows our offense to go down and kick a field goal with 8 seconds left. That ended up being the margin of victory. That was the difference in the game. Yeah. And that whole sequence of events right there, I think, really set the tone for our kids' determination to win the game and what happened in the second half. And
I appreciate you pointing that out, because it seemed like on that short kick right before half, where the momentum just shifted over to Lawton Ike, saying, okay, we got the ball on the 27, we can score here, and then we'll get back to head. But defense holds, and then you're able to go down and with 8 seconds to go, kick that field goal. Yeah. So what's the conversation at halftime? It's 9-6, you're leading, pretty much the same. Let's just keep working hard. What was the conversation like?
There was a lot of positives in the first half as far as things that we had done well, and so a lot of good conversation about what the kids had done well, and really the little differences that we needed to do in the things in the second half adjustments we made. Made some adjustments in the passing game I thought was really good. We started running some stop routes because of what their defense was doing, and Darren did a great job of throwing those. And so we just talked about little tweaks in our game plan that we needed to do based on how they were trying to stop what we were doing, and the kids did a good job of adjusting and really just encouraging the kids of how important those first 2 drives of the second half were. And just very, very impressed with the way our defense came out, immediately got the stop, and our offense came out and immediately drove it down and scored. And really, we came out ready to play, and it was fun to be a part of that.
It was the second trip to Lawton, and you're playing at at Cameron University there. Yeah. Did being familiar with the field, did it have any impact on, you think, the team's performance?
I do. I think having made that trip just 3 weeks ago and getting to make it again, I think it does help. I think the kids know what to expect. They're just there to play a game now. Yeah. There's not a newness there. There's a familiarity. I think for the coaches, you travel better when you really have experienced it before. And so we traveled really well. The trip was a great trip, and it's great to get a victory. Kind of icing on the cake.
There's 2 more regular season games before the playoffs. What's the mood today with everyone, knowing that, okay, 2 regular season games to go, and
very much alive in the playoffs, playing 2 teams that are in the exact same position we are with the end of the year schedule, and it's exciting. It's exciting to be at week 8, to have struggled as much as we struggled this year, but to be playing our best football at this point with an opportunity to qualify for the playoffs, and really knowing that if we do win these 2 games, we actually deserve to be there, that we've improved. And I said early on that our goal was to make the playoffs with a team good enough to win when we got there. And I really think if we improve and get it done these next 2 weeks, we will have accomplished that goal. We'll have had opportunity to make the playoffs. And right now, if that were to happen today, we would end up being the 3rd seed out of 4 and would probably play Bartlesville again. And I think all that is pretty exciting for our kids. I think they'd like to have a chance of redemption in that game. And so just really, really an exciting time that we need to do a good job and take advantage of.
Welcome back to Plainsmen Football 2015. I'm Steve Keim. Thanks for joining us, and really thank you for joining us each and every week. We have different venues where you are able to see the Coach's Show. We air this on Channel 11 and 111 in high definition, and then we also play it back on enidtv.org, and then of course you can go to YouTube, and then of course through the Enid Public School System. They have a variety of avenues to see the Coach's Show. So it's kind of been fun, Coach, to go back and look at some of these shows that we did a few weeks ago. Well, our special guest here on Inside the Game is the quarterback's coach. I think I have that right, Clint Chelf. And Chelf? Chelf. I thought so. Maybe I was in too big of a hurry to say that. Well, everybody's probably pretty familiar with Clint, being from Enid and everything. My I guess familiarization with Clint is from his Oklahoma State University quarterback days. So first off, Clint, welcome to Inside the Game. Tell us a little bit about your involvement. I understand that you're coaching quarterbacks, you're doing some work for your dad, you're doing some work for Oklahoma State, a lot of irons in the fire. So catch everybody up on what Clint's been doing.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on. First, my dad has an insurance agency in town, Bay Chelf Insurance, and so I was working there, and we were lucky enough to have Coach Steve Hayes' insurance, and he came in and saw me sitting behind the desk, and we went out to lunch, and then I'm very grateful that he asked me to come out and help and be a part of Enid High football again. It's been about 6 years for me, so I'm happy to be back, and then still a little involved in Stillwater. I go over and do a pregame show with Dave Hunziker and Deon Amade, another guy that I played with. It's called Covering All Sides. We try and kind of get the full spectrum of the opponent that we're having come into Stillwater that week or on the road. So, like you said, doing a lot of things and staying busy. And
congratulations! You just recently completed your MBA. And as it was told to me, he said, Steve, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So it is not easy, so congratulations to you. Clint, let me ask you this. Growing up in Enid, and then you go to Oklahoma State and you play Division I football, that experience, how's it prepared you to what you're doing today here for Plainsmen football? All of those experiences, how did that prepare you?
Well, I think, first off, I had a lot of different offensive coordinators, which kind of spreads your knowledge and kind of gives you a vast array of different coaching styles and what their philosophies on offense. And so, I think that's definitely helped me out with being able to kind of try and relate to the kids. Let me put you on the spot since you said offensive coordinator.
When I say the phrase offensive coordinator, who's the first name that comes to mind?
Todd Monken for me, Coach Monken. He was. He was one of my favorite coaches that I had over in Stillwater. So,
so that's a good statement because it'll go on YouTube, it'll get circulated everywhere, and Todd will hear that and he'll go, "Way to go, Clint."
I hope so.
Any other things that you were involved in that prepared you to be this quarterback's coach? Do you sense?
I went through something similar to what Darian Goings went through. I was third string my junior year, and we had some injuries, and I didn't get to play in as many games as I'd liked, but that kind of prepared me fighting through adversity for, in the real world, there's not a lot of people that care about you, and that's something Coach Gundy said. You gotta take what's yours, and you gotta fight for yourself and stand up for yourself. And so, fighting through that adversity has kind of, prepared me a little bit better for the real world.
Well, Clint, I appreciate you sharing that. Our special guest on Inside the Game is hometown. Boy, done good, Clint Chelf, and we appreciate Clint being with us today as a quarterback's coach for the Enid Plainsmen. Coach Hayes, what do you have as in regard questions for your quarterbacks coach?
Well, at first I'd like to open with saying that Clint has done a great job of working with our kids individually, especially in regards to their technique and footwork and just identifying things that will help them to be better players. I felt like after evaluating the program when I came here in the spring that one of the deficiencies was quarterback development. That really a good job had not been done as far as developing kids in the system to be prepared to play that position. And I think our team has reflected that early on in the season, and I think our success later on in the year and our improvement is directly correlated to the fact that both Clint and Coach Conder's impact on the backfield, and you can see the dramatic improvement the kids play. And it has a lot to do with the work that they've done with those young men, done a really good job, and are both very relational coaches. Now, I was just going to ask him, starting out, what do you feel like are the things that our quarterbacks in general and Darian specifically have improved on over the last 8 weeks?
One thing that we work with Darian on every day, and something that I noticed early on, was his footwork, and that's something that you touched on. It's hard playing quarterback when you're standing still, but it's even harder when you're on the move, and that's something that I always learned. I watch TV, watch Drew Brees, watch those guys that have the best footwork, and so those are the guys I try to mimic, how I played after, and so that's what I try and hopefully teach to Darian, is that, footwork's probably the most important thing to being a quarterback.
One of the great advantages of having Clint as well is that he played in a similar offensive scheme in some ways to what we're trying to accomplish here in Enid. And so it's been good to have his input that as well. What do you see are some of I think probably for the viewers, some of the biggest differences between a kid that's playing quarterback at the high school level versus a young man that's playing at the college Division I level? Taking that next step since you got to experience both.
Knowledge of the game. I didn't in high school. I'd like to go out there and play, throw it around. If a guy's open, throw it to him, and then you kind of develop. When you get to college, that you have to know what the defense is doing. You have to know what coverage they're in. You have to know an under front and over front, what linebackers are in what position, what gaps they have, and so the knowledge of the game definitely takes a big leap when going from high school to college, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. What do you feel like positionally are the things that we need to improve on over the next couple of weeks in order to reach our potential before the playoffs?
I think you guys touched on it a little bit earlier, and that's just being consistent. I think we've all seen that in games this year we've had spurts where we played really well, and then there was always maybe a mistake here or there, whether it was a turnover, or a bad kick, or and so I think just becoming more consistent, and I think that'll allow us to hopefully win these next 2 games.
What have you found most enjoyable about getting into the coaching profession? Since we've kind of broken you in, what have you enjoyed about this year?
That's pretty easy. I think just the relationships, getting to meet, obviously, coaches, you and Coach Conder, who I spend most of my time with, that's something that is very exciting to me, and learning how, different people approach the game from a coach's standpoint. I've always done it from a player's standpoint, and so seeing the opposite side of it's something, it was very exciting to me, and then also building a relationship with your players. That's something that you've been big on, and that's something that I was happy to come back and get to be around a bunch of guys that are in the best time of their lives playing high school football.
Yeah, they don't realize how special it is, do they?
No, they really don't.
I know, it's not the same. It's not the same. Well, I appreciate it. You've done a great job. I mean, he's been a great addition to the staff. I was glad I was able to talk him into doing it, twist his arm.
So the moral of the story is, if you need insurance, you're really looking for a quarterback's coach or something like that, right?
I'm telling you, I'm looking for opportunities everywhere I go. There's no doubt.
That's great.
There's no doubt.
Clint, one quick question as we close out the Inside the Game segment. Based on all your experiences from Enid High School and then playing at Oklahoma State, and then, being mentored by those offensive coordinators and the coaches and so forth, what can you share with a student athlete that maybe didn't participate this year, and they're watching the show and they say, boy, I might be missing out on some of these relationships and opportunities with my classmates? What word of encouragement would you offer someone who's watching that, I need to consider this football game?
I'll just tell them that down the road, you don't want to miss out and have any regrets. And that's something that my sophomore year, I decided that I wasn't going to play basketball and baseball. And now looking back on it, I wish I would have played all 3 sports my entire time in high school. I think that, like I said, building those relationships and creating those memories with your high school friends is something that you'll remember forever. And so I would encourage everyone to play as many sports as possible, and see what you're good at, and see, maybe you might have a future in it.
Well, it sounds like you're taking your own advice to heart because being involved with Oklahoma State football, quarterback's coach here, and then insurance, I think you're making up for some of those things that you weren't involved in. So, Clint, thank you for being here today. We appreciate you and the work that you're doing. Clint Shelf, our quarterback's coach for the Enid Plainsmen on Inside the Game, and we'll be back with our student athlete right after this. Thank you for staying with us on Plainsmen Football 2015, and right now we're in the segment called Inside the Huddle, and one of the gentlemen inside the huddle quite often on the offensive side is Darian Goins. Darren, appreciate you being here as quarterback. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and I understand that you're a sophomore in high school, and is there any particular subjects that you like to study? You do go to class, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I definitely have an interest in biology.
Okay. That's serious.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'd like to do after high school. It's like something like physical therapy, stuff like that, the body.
So as quarterback for the Plainsmen, tell us about Friday night a little bit. Big win, 44-41, back and forth. Was it pretty exciting? Was it even fun?
Yes, it was fun. It was nerve-wracking. That's how I describe it.
Coach, you have any comments for your quarterback?
Darren, talk about 3 or 4 things you feel like that you've worked on, improved, and made you a better quarterback so far.
Mechanics, definitely mechanics.
What part of you mechanics?
Everything.
Yeah.
Footwork especially.
Yeah. What do you feel like that you were weak at that you've made improvement on specifically, whether it be a thrown off a back foot or
just say arm strength in general.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that was one of the things going into it that we needed you to grow up in. What's been the hardest thing going from basically a freshman quarterback, just a real brief stint on the JV, and then also being thrown into the fire on Friday Night Light?
Maturity, being able to handle the just pressure, really.
Yeah. What's been the difference for you a year ago as a freshman, as a quarterback, offensively versus being in this offense this year?
Definitely athletic level. I was a better athlete last year than this year compared to the competition level.
Around. Sure, you bet. Going forward, because you've got the advantage of getting to finish this season and potentially playing 2 more full seasons. What are the things that you really like to work on in the off season and improve on?
I'm a better leader. Definitely help get more wins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Now, you play some other sports. Talk about some of the other athletic things you're involved in.
Basketball and baseball. Last year I played some varsity baseball as a freshman. Mm-hmm. That's something I definitely, after football season, will work on. Mm-hmm. And just basketball, just really for memories. Not really that well at basketball.
Yeah. What position do you play in baseball?
Center field, and I pitch.
Center field, okay, very good. I can definitely see the pitching part of it. And so, going into this week, you've played against Stillwater before. How do you feel about our next opponent?
I'm feeling really confident, feeling we can finish the season with 2 more wins and get into the playoffs with some momentum.
Yeah, I agree, and you're a big part of that. Now, one of the big challenges that a quarterback has is not allowing mistakes affect them, and I think every quarterback makes mistakes, but the good ones really kind of shake them off. How do you handle it? Like the other night, I thought you did a great job. We threw an interception for a touchdown, and you responded to that. Kind of in your mind, what do you go through to prepare yourself to get back out on the field?
Just can't let it get to me. You got to move on. It's like I just try not to focus on the bad things or the good things. Just try to keep playing. Keep playing the next play.
That's excellent. And for the viewers, he threw an interception for a touchdown and immediately came back to the next series and threw a beautiful pass for a touchdown to Brian Banks that got us right back into it. And so just I think a demonstration of how much he's matured as a sophomore.
Kind of correlates with life a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. You can be down about maybe a decision that you made, but you can't dwell on it too long. You got to turn the page and keep on moving. Darian, let me ask you real quick. The coach has placed emphasis on the Tony Dungy book of Uncommon, and there's been these character goals throughout the week. What kind of impact has that had on you and the team when you're focusing on humility and stewardship and integrity, things like that?
I think it has a lot to do. There's a lot of stuff I can relate to
Okay.
in, experiences and stuff like that. Humility is the one thing. We have a lot of, you just got to stay humble and not get ahead of yourself because, it is a team sport.
Very good. Any other comments?
What do you think you're going to do? It's a long ways off. You're just a sophomore. What do you think you can do after you graduate?
I definitely have interest in, physical therapy, stuff like that, and law enforcement.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting combination. We'll CSI.
I think the time will really go quick because I remember standing in the kitchen in Perry, Oklahoma, and of course I knew everything at the time as a sophomore in high school. I knew everything, right? Yeah. And my mother said, "Now, Steve, from now on, every year's going to go quick." And I kept thinking, "Oh, it's going 300 some days is a long year." And by the time I finished even that statement, I was graduating from high school. So it was going to go so quick, so quick. So Darian Goins is our special guest on Inside the Huddle. Darian, congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the hard work that you're doing along with everybody else on the team. Appreciate you being here today. And we'll have you back in the future. We'll get an update on what's going on. Okay. And thank you for staying with us on Inside the Huddle. We'll be back with our closing comments right after this. Okay, we have a home game coming up. Stillwater comes to town, and Friday they lost to Putnam City West last week by the score of 35-26. Overall, the Pioneers, Stillwater is 3-5, and they are 2-2 in district. My understanding, they are. What do you know about Stillwater?
They're kind of an anomaly. They've beaten some good teams this year, like Midwest City, but they've also lost some ball games I think they probably think they shouldn't have lost. And Friday night's probably an example of that. And so, they're a good football team, but they're definitely have shown to be a beatable football team. Once again, the key for us is taking care of the football and making good decisions with the football and tackling, and blocking and tackling. And if we take care of the things that we have control of and that we can do, it should be a good game, and we should be happy with the outcome. A good opponent and a good opportunity to see whether or not we're playoff ready.
And I think there's a new bit of excitement in the air coming off of the win last week against Lawton Ike. Any other special preparation this week for Stillwater?
Stillwater, athletically, they have a very, very talented receiver. Number one, he's, I think, one of the top players in his position in the state, and so we'll definitely have to defend him well. Defensively, their front's very aggressive, but I think they give up some things in the short passing game. We should be pretty effective with that. And so it's just a matter of doing things well and not making mistakes.
Yeah. So simple, huh?
So it really is a simple game. It really is.
Coach Steve Hayes, congratulations again on the big win last week over at Lawton. We appreciate your time today, and we appreciate your time with us today on Plainsmen Football 2015. And again, Stillwater comes to town on Friday night. We look forward to seeing you at the stadium as, again, we're looking for back-to-back victories for the Plainsmen. So thank you for joining us on Plainsmen Football 2015. We'll see you next week. Until that time, make it a great day.
We'll see you next week with another insightful show with Enid Plainsman head football coach Steve Hayes.
Inside out. Give it to him. Good job, partner! Go! Hey. Touch! Come back! Here we go! Fire off! I'm driving. He's gonna... There you go! There you go! Good job!
Thank you for watching Enid Plainsman Football 2015.